Brought to you by Penguin.
Germinal by Émile Zola. Read by Josh Dillon.
Both for ease of listening and because it contains details of the plot, we've placed the introduction to this Penguin classic at the end of the audiobook.
Part 1. Chapter 1. Out on the open plain, on a starless, ink-dark night, a lone man was following the highway from Marchiennes to Montsou, 10 kilometres of paved road that cut directly across the fields of beet. He could not make out even the black ground in front of him, and he was aware of the vast, flat horizon only from the March wind blowing in broad, sweeping gusts as though across a sea, bitterly cold after its passage over league upon league of marsh and bare earth. Not a single tree blotted the skyline, and the road rolled on through the blinding spume of darkness, unswerving like a pier. The man had left Marchiennes around 2 o'clock in the morning. He walked with long strides, shivering in his threadbare cotton jacket and his corduroy trousers. A small bundle tied up in a check handkerchief was evidently an encumbrance, and he pressed it to his side, first with one arm, then with the other, so that he could thrust both hands, numb, chapped hands, lashed raw by the east wind, deep into his pockets. Homeless and out of work, he had only one thing on his vacant mind, the hope that the cold would be less severe once day had broken. He had been walking like this for an hour when, 2 kilometres outside Montsou, he saw some red fires over to his left, 3 braziers burning out in the open as though suspended in mid-air. At first he hesitated, suddenly afraid. But then he could not resist the painful urge to warm his hands for a moment. A sunken path led away from the road, and the vision vanished. To the man's right was a wooden fence, more like a wall, made from thick planks and running alongside a railway line. To his left rose a glass embankment topped by a jumble of gables, apparently the low, uniform rooftops of a village. He walked on a further 200 paces or so. Abruptly, at a turn in the path, the fires reappeared close by him, but he was still at a loss to explain how they could be burning so high up in this dead sky, like smouldering moons. But at ground level something else had caught his attention. Some large, heavy mass, a huddled heap of buildings from which rose the outline of a factory chimney. Gleams of light could be seen here and there through grime-coated windows, while outside 5 or 6 paltry lanterns hung from a series of wooden structures whose blackened timbers seemed to be vaguely aligned in the shape of gigantic trestles. From the midst of this fantastical apparition, wreathed in smoke and darkness, rose the sound of a solitary voice, long, deep gasps of puffing steam, invisible to the eye. And then the man realized that it was a coal mine. His misgivings returned. What was the point? There wouldn't be any work. Eventually, instead of heading towards the buildings, he ventured to climb the spoil heap to where 3 coal fires stood burning in cast iron baskets, offering warmth and light to people as they went about their work. The stonemen must have worked late, because the spoil was still being removed. He could now hear the banksmen pushing their trains of coal tubs along the top of the trestles, and in the light from each fire he could see moving shadows tipping up each tub. "Hello," he said as he walked towards one of the braziers. Standing with his back to it was the driver, an old man in a purple woolen jersey and a rabbit-skin cap. His horse, a large yellow animal, stood waiting with the immobility of stone as the 6 tubs it had just hauled up were emptied. The workman in charge of the tippler, a skinny, red-headed fellow, was taking his time about it and looked half asleep as he activated the lever. Above them the wind was blowing harder than ever, gusting in great icy blasts like the strokes of a scythe. "Hello," the driver replied. There was a silence. Sensing the
Sample complete. Ready to continue?